Hey guys, hope you're all safe and doing well. We'll be continuing our history MCQ test discussion. This is test 1, session 3. So let's begin. With reference to the British colonial rule in India, consider the following statements. Mahatma Gandhi was instrumental in the abolition of the system of indentured labor. Second statement, in Lord Chelmsford War Conference, Mahatma Gandhi did not support the resolution on recruiting Indians for World War. Third one, consequent upon the breaking of salt law by Indian people, the Indian National Congress was declared illegal by the colonial rulers. So let us focus on the second statement. It is wrong, as we all know, Mahatma Gandhi did not object to British asking Indian soldiers to participate in World War II. It was actually Subhash Chandra Bose who was against this, and he famously told enemy is our friend and we need to attack the British when they are in the war. But Gandhiji was against this, whereas Nehru intervened and told that we need to be diplomatic in our approach, ask the Britishers for freedom. In turn, we will participate on their behalf in the war. So that was one of the pivotal moments when Gandhiji accepted Nehru as his political guru as well. Okay. So if statement 2 is wrong, my option A gets eliminated, option C as well as option D. So we'll get the right answer as option B. Clear? So a bit about the other two statements. Indentured labor was a system of bonded labor that was instituted following the abolition of slavery. Indentured labor were recruited to work on sugar, cotton and tea plantation and rail construction project in British colonies in West Indies, Africa and Southeast Asia. Gandhiji fought for them in South Africa in the Natal and Orange counties. If you go and see world history, one of his initial satyagrahas was held for the purpose of indentured labor upliftment. Okay. Next, Gandhiji returned to India after the second roundtable conference, and on his arrival in Bombay, the Congress Working Committee decided to resume the civil disobedience movement. In 1932, Indian National Congress was declared an illegal organization and all its leaders were arrested. Gandhiji was sent to Yerwada jail in Pune. So we all know CDM, civil disobedience movement, took place with many breaks in between. At the same time, 3 roundtable conferences were held in London simultaneously. So after the second roundtable conference, when the salt law was broken, INC was declared illegal. Okay. Who among the following streamlined the Maratha administration after Sambhaji? Rajaram, Balaji Vishwanath, Gangabai, Nanaji Deshmukh. So after the battles between Aurangzeb and Shivaji in the medieval times, we know that the Maratha Confederacy slowly started losing its power, especially after Shivaji's death. Marathas regained their power under the Peshwaship during the times of the British. So Sambhaji was one of the kings, but after him, Peshwaship became very famous and strong foothold in the Maratha Confederacy. It was Balaji Vishwanath. Next question. The member of Shivaji's Ashta Pradhan who looked after foreign affairs was Peshwa, Sachiv, Pandit Rao, Sumant. The correct answer is Sumant. So in the court of Shivaji, he had a concept called Ashta Pradhan where he had 8 ministers, you can say, to look after different departments. Let us just see. The first one is Peshwa or the chief minister. He looked after general administration. Second, Amatya or Mazmudar, accountant general. He later became revenue and finance minister. Third, Sachiv or Surunavis. He's also called as Chitnis. He looked after the royal correspondence. Sumant or Dabir, foreign affairs and master of royal ceremonies. Senapati or Sari-e-Naubat. He was the military commander, looked after recruitment, training and discipline of army. Mantri or Wakwai Navis, personal safety of the king. He looked after intelligence, post and household affairs. So something like our home ministry, you can say. Okay. Nyayadhish, that is the administration of justice. In the name only it's this, Nyaya. Pandit Rao, again from the name, looking after charitable and religious affairs of the state. He worked for the moral upliftment of the people. Okay, please remember this. It's asked multiple times in the exam. Next question. The loss of Kandahar was a big blow to the Mughal Empire from the viewpoint of natural resources, buffer territory, communication, strategic stronghold. So the correct answer is strategic stronghold. So Kabul and Kandahar are two choke points of entry to the Indian subcontinent. These two places are found in Afghanistan. Right from this ancient times, whoever has control of these two places, they have been safe from invasions. Even Alexander entered from there, Muhammad Ghori, Muhammad Ghazni, all of them invaded from the same passes. Whenever there was a strong ruler or a large kingdom like Ashoka's or Chandragupta Maurya, Samudragupta or even Akbar, there were no invasions if you see. Not much invasions took place. If there was not a strong ruler or if the kingdoms were bifurcated into smaller kingdoms, there was not one ruler looking after the entire country, then we see that number of invasions were higher. Okay. So I'll just show you here. This is Kandahar and that is Kabul. In the right side diagram you can see two choke points that is present in Afghanistan. We can even see the other major areas like Panipat. All your Panipat wars, 3 wars were fought there. And Plassey, we'll be speaking of Battle of Plassey in the next session. So remember, so it's very nearby to West Bengal. So like I said, anyone who loses Kandahar, they are losing the strategic stronghold on the Indian subcontinent. Next question. Ashtapradhan was a council of ministers we already saw in the Maratha administration. So even in Vijayanagara administration, we have a similar concept under Krishna Deva Raya. Under even Chandragupta, we have a similar concept. Go have a look into it. In which of the following years Battle of Buxar was fought? It is 1764. Few battles, you need to remember the years like Battle of Plassey, Battle of Buxar, Panipat Wars, the 3 battles of Panipat. So try to remember all these, okay? Battle of Buxar was fought on 22nd October 1764 between the forces under the command of British East India Company led by Hector Munro and the combined armies of Mir Qasim, Nawab of Bengal, Nawab of Awadh and the Mughal Emperor Shah Alam II. So 3 parties against the East India Company, that is Nawab of Bengal, Nawab of Awadh and the Mughal Emperor. British East India Company emerged victorious, defeating the Mughal forces. The war ended by the signing of Treaty of Allahabad in 1765. So, before seeing the next 4 questions, let's just see in brief about Battle of Plassey. So we'll see who are all the participants in the Battle of Plassey. You have Siraj-ud-Dawla, the Nawab of Bengal. So basically there was something called as Black Hole Tragedy where Siraj-ud-Dawla had ordered the imprisonment of 146 English persons who were lodged in a very tiny room, due to which majority of them died cause of suffocation. This angered the British, obviously, adversely affected by the rampant misuse of trade privileges by the EIC. So why he was angry on EIC was because they were misusing the farmans given by him, the trade privileges that was given by the king to the EIC. They were misusing it. What did he do? He attacked and seized the English fort at Calcutta. It brought their hostility into the open. Okay, so this is all what Sirajud-Dowla did. He was the Nawab of Bengal. In turn, what the British did? So they sent Robert Clive. He was the one who actually fortified the fort of Calcutta without the permission of the Nawab. That's what angered Sirajud-Dowla. Next, what they did, once they heard about the Black Hole tragedy, they started bribing the commander-in-chief and other close people of Nawab of Bengal. That's what is given here. See, Mir Jafar was the commander-in-chief of Sirajud-Dowla. He was bribed by East India Company. He was to be made the Nawab by EIC for conspiring against Sirajud-Dowla. So he was promised that if he doesn't win the battle for the Nawab, he will be made the next Nawab. Okay. Another person was Rai Durlab. He was a Hindu ruler. He joined his army with Sirajud-Dowla, telling that he will support him against EIC, but in practice he actually did not participate in the war or lend any help. Okay, thereby betraying the Nawab. Jagat Seth, another influential banker, he was involved in the conspiracy involving imprisonment and ultimate killing of the Nawab. Omni Chand, he was a Bengal merchant, one of the principal authors of the conspiracy against Nawab and associated with treaty negotiated by Robert Clive before the Battle of Plassey in 1757. Across history, if you see, whenever there has been a foreign rule in the country, whenever we have made way for outsiders to come and rule our country, it's always because there was some squabble or fights among the local rulers. If you see in your medieval India, how was the Delhi Sultanate able to establish such a big kingdom is because the Rajputs were not together. They were not unified. Instead, they were against one another. Okay. Even how did the British get such a big foothold in the country is because the Marathas were not unified. Okay. Other local rulers also were not unified. The Mughal Empire had lost its power when the British came. Right? And we just saw how the local rulers were trying to help the EIC instead of helping their own countrymen. Okay. Just remember these people's names. So on one side you have Sirajud-Dowla, on the other side you have Robert Clive, Mir Jafar, Rai Durlab, Jagat Seth and Omni Chand. Now we can answer this easily. Who of the following joined Mir Qasim and Shuja-ud-Dowla in declaring war upon the English East India Company and was later defeated by British at the Battle of Buxar? We saw this previously, Battle of Buxar. That was the Mughal Emperor Shah Alam II. Right? Three people were there, Nawab of Bengal, Nawab of Awadh and the Mughal Emperor, that is Shah Alam II. Who among the following was not a party to the league that was defeated by the British in Battle of Buxar? Shuja-ud-Dowla was there, Shah Alam, he was the Mughal Emperor, Mir Jafar was there, Mir Jafar was not there, Mir Qasim was there. Okay, so they are asking who was not there. It will be Mir Jafar. Next question. Sirajud-Dowla was defeated by Robert Clive in the Battle of Plassey. We just saw it was Battle of Plassey. The first decisive military success of English East India Company in India is marked by Battle of Buxar. So Battle of Panipat and Battle of Haldighati had nothing to do with the ESC. It was Battle of Buxar and Battle of Plassey. Battle of Buxar is the one which they actually won through 100% military efforts. We know Battle of Plassey mostly they did through cunning methods, right? They bribed the officials, they turned the local rulers against each other. But Battle of Buxar, they won it entirely through their military strength. So that's the discussion for today. We'll meet again in the next session. I'll be discussing next 10 questions. Thank you. If there's any doubts or if there's any changes to be made, please leave in the comments below. Have a nice day.